Okay, now for the finishing touches on our disc template here, we have 3 more circles that we need to create here. One that's 48 millimeters, one that's 38 millimeters, and one that's 20 millimeters. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that I'm on my elliptical marquee tool inside the Photoshop toolbox. And then what I'll do is I'll use the same trick that I used earlier. I'm just going to use my options bar. The style is set to fixed size, but instead of 116 millimeters, I'm going to go and change this to 48. That's the first guy that we're going to do here. Make sure that you change your width and height to 48. Okay, there we are. And what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do this is going to be kind of a down and dirty approach here. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to single click anywhere inside my Photoshop file. I don't even care that this selection here isn't aligned in the center of my layout or anything like that. I'm going to worry about that later. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new Photoshop layer inside my layers palette there. And I'm simply going to fill this selection with white. Well, I have white set as my background color down in the bottom of the Photoshop toolbox. So then what I'll do is I'll hold down the Command key or Control on the Windows side and hit Delete. And that'll fill my selection with white. That's wonderful. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and deselect Command D or Control D. And maybe I should rename my layer here. I'll call this Circle 1. I know that's not very creative, but there we go. And then I'm basically going to repeat this process. I'm going to go back up to the options bar up at the top. Instead of 48 now, I'm going to change this to 38. That was the next value that we had, right? So 38 and 38. And again, I'll just single click somewhere in my layout. I'm not even being careful about where I'm clicking, right? And then again, I'll go and create another Photoshop layer by using the new layer icon down at the bottom of the layers palette. I want to fill this guy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill this guy with the same gray that I used on the disk layer. And that gray is still sitting inside my foreground color swatch. So I'm going to hold down Option or Alt on the Windows side and hit Delete to fill that in. All right, one more here. Go ahead and deselect. Oh, we should probably rename our layer here as well. Double click on that and I'll call this Circle 2. Okay, there we are. Okay. One more to go here. Our measurement now is 20 millimeters, if you'll recall, for our last guy here. This is the actual hole that's in the disc, by the way. So 20 and 20. And I will single click. There's our hole there. Again, I just sort of randomly clicked there. Doesn't really matter where you go here. And then another new layer. Go ahead and create another new layer. And I'm going to fill this guy with white. So Control or Command Delete. There we go. And you can call this layer Circle 3, or you can call it Disk Hole, or whatever works for you. I'll go Circle 3. Okay, and I'll deselect Command D or Control D. Okay, wonderful stuff. But we have this mishmash of circles now sitting inside our layout. So what I'm going to do is I have the Circle 3 layer selected. I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to grab my background layer. That selects all the layers inside the Layers palette. And then you guessed it. I'm going to head up to the layer menu, down to Align, and then align the vertical centers. And then I'll go Layer, and then down to Align, and then horizontal centers. There we go. That's our disk template. Okay, so we're looking great here.